Howdy. So, just going to go over a little bit about what happened this past weekend. I said I was going to do more post event coverage, or just like wrap ups and stuff, and so here we go with Liberty City Anime Con. Um, I didn't know what to expect here at all because the site's not great. The website behind it wasn't great. I feel like I thought some of the things were coming together a little too late last second, and then right before the con, they were having schedule changes, so I was a little worried. And I heard that the previous con was okay, but not very good, so I had no idea what to expect this time. And so I don't know. And I'm always kind of excited and nervous before I go into a con like this because I am very, very new to the cosplay community, and it's wonderful people. And I just personally started covering it like a few months ago at Castle Point Anime. And unlike game dev or New York City stuff, I've never really been a part of the cosplay community. So my very first time going into Castle Point, I was like, how do I fit in? How am I going to relate to these people? How do I have the right to be like a commentator or a doorway to this? And I was a little nervous. And then I just took it as, let me just go in as a fan, because I am a fan of cosplay. I'm a huge fan of anime and manga and sci-fi stuff. So I just took it as a fan's point and as someone who was eager to learn about it. So I usually start my interviews off wondering why the person got into it themselves and what made them take the jump. Because, like most other people who are into this sort of thing, I too have had that little cosplay fantasy where I would go in dressed as so and so and have a great time. And hearing everyone's story helped me feel better and more about why I was there and feel more comfortable talking to everyone else. So I decided to make pretty much all my interviews that way. Anyway, so whenever I go into a new con, I'm like, all right. Once again, I start to feel nervous. Like, what right do I have to be here? All right, sure, Nardio has done a few things on cosplay before, and I think we're building up a little bit of an audience with it. But I still feel like the noob in the situation. I still feel a little bit like the outsider. And yeah, I always have those little pre-con jitters. And sorry, Mochi wants to come and say hi. Hi. It's a thing. Anywho, so this time when I went to Liberty City, I did not know what to expect, and thankfully I kept my eyes and my mind open. I got there and I was a little let down. Like there was already some problems going on. I got there a little late on Friday, and I was supposed to get there. Thankfully, I was supposed to get there much earlier. I thought there was gonna be a massive line, and we'd have to be like waiting outside in Times Square for a while, and there wasn't. But things weren't opening up, and people were just like congregating in a super tight lobby area. And I'm like, this cannot be it. No way, this cannot be it. And I'm like, all right, so I start trying to walk around the area, and it's so tight, so fracking tight, that everyone's already like sitting on walls. People are a little restless. Sorry, she likes to get in here and drool and like snuggle into my armpit. Anyway, so I was like, oh crap, could this be one of those bad cons I've heard of so much about? And stuck with it. And it was weird because I started feeling bad because I feel like some people just came in. I saw when it first opened up, saw this and said, oh, fuck this, and left. And I feel bad for those people because they missed out. Because after they were able to open the doors on the introduction event, the opening ceremonies, and they got a few things going, and they started opening some of the rooms for panels, things started just kind of airing out a little bit, and people just started having fun. And the next problem that I had was the place was full of young kids. I'm like, great, I can't record any of these kids without parental consent, and I really should get forms for that so I could start doing that with parents. Because while it was full of kids, it was amazingly enough full of parents who were there for their kids, and I found that beautiful. because growing up, my parents had no interest in my hobbies whatsoever. In fact, anytime I have a hobby, they would kind of like make fun of it to the point until I stopped, so they wouldn't have to deal with that. That's how bad it was. So whenever I see a parent who's like out there for their kids, being supportive, I'm just like, oh man, that is amazing. You don't know how lucky you are, kid. And I saw a gosh darn plenty, huge amount of that. On my third day, I was with some exhausted-looking woman. She was just in an elevator, and she just missed the elevator where her kids went into with a whole bunch of other Steven's Universe cosplayers. I'm there with her, like, wow, so, con mom? She's like, yeah. I'm like, how are you holding up? She's just super happy. She's like, I'm having a ball. I mean, I'm tired, but I'm having a ball. She pulls out her iPhone, and one, I'm jelly because she has like the very newest iPhone. I'm like, oh, I want that iPhone. And two, she starts scrolling through pictures of her cosplaying with her daughter, and it's so precious. It's just precious. So, wow. And they had a lot. They go to a lot of cons like this, and today she felt bad that she wasn't in costume. And she was in a Helsing costume the day before, and it was so cool. Oh my god. I wanted to hug her. I didn't. And I just said, you are an amazing mom. That's just beautiful. She's like, thank you. I just feel bad I didn't get dressed up today. I'm like, oh, you don't have to feel bad. You're being awesome. You're here. You're supporting this wonderful hobby. And you're not just supporting the hobby. You're not being a parent who just sends their kid on the train. She is there to make sure nothing bad happens. That is amazing parenting, and I just found that amazing. And there are a whole bunch of parents like that in the area. And I felt kind of bad because a whole bunch of them were just kind of sitting down like, but a lot more walking around with them, and it just blows my mind when I see parents who are that good. Anywho, so as the con started going on, I'm like nervous and wondering what to do. It's so tight. I have no place to interview some people, and that was my huge fear. I kept going to places, and the one area that had like a decent amount of space was upstairs on the 5th floor, but the lighting there was atrocious. Super bad. And then I was told by a person from the hotel staff I can't set up extra lighting because I'm taking up a lot of space already with my camera and the tripod for that. So setting up an extra tripod with lighting wasn't going to fly. So I put my extra light on my camera, but it just really wasn't doing enough. So I was like, do I go home? Do I just give up? And I was really worried, and then I'm like, fuck it, let's make it work. So I just looked around for some awesome cosplay, and I found this guy doing God Eater cosplay with a redonkulous sword. It was so cool. And thankfully he was up for a conversation. And it was a bit of a hot mess, but it worked. So the only place I found where we can do something with good lighting downstairs at first was in front of some staff door that turned out to be a busy staff door. So the minute we start setting up, some guy comes out super annoyed. You cannot be here. This is in the way. I need you out of this entire area. I'm like, wow, this entire area? Can we be on the side a little bit, like away from the door? So I'm like, all right. So I went on a side area away from the door thinking, okay, this should be enough to appease him. There's just no other space. If I'm not here, there's going to be like 30 kids sitting here. So I did the interview, tried not to block the door. The camera was super close to us. And that was my first interview at the con. It was tight. People kept banging into the camera. He and I were barely in shot. And it was a good start. And that got the ball rolling. And after that, I found another area by the registration area that had pretty good light and afforded me a little more space. And that's where I did most of my interviews for the rest of the con. And I think it turned out pretty well. Well, not as well as I like, because again, the lighting in the hotel wasn't great, and I couldn't pull out extra lighting, so even with the light I put directly on top of my camcorder, it made almost no difference. So all my videos came out grainy, and kind of embarrassingly so, but at the same time, the content works. I feel like the interviews are like really good, so I'm going to keep them, and I'm going to show them off. And the only other thing that drove me crazy during the con is people just kept kind of walking through the interview area, and it's just like, oh my god, And some people did it by accident, so I started putting things. And a few people were just being kind of jerks about it and just like ran like it's like I had to like stop a few people like almost forcefully like you're gonna break my camera, you're gonna like break my microphone wire. It's like why be that jerk? I don't understand. And I had one group of girls who were just like running back and forth as if it were a game, and I'm like, if you trip on my camera, break it, and then hurt yourself, who pays for what? Who apologizes for what? I mean, I know, like, I've set up like, some clear barriers, so I'm not really in the way. Something like that, I was running. I wish they had a con mom to make sure they weren't going cray cray. But yeah. Anywho, so after I found my spot and I started interviewing cosplayers, time flew, like super flew, and it was pretty much it was a good and bad thing. At the very last second, my partner had to drop out because she's working on a project that she just has to get done by the end of the month. So she couldn't come with me for the event. So I had to miss out on most of the panels, which makes me sad because there are a lot of cool sounding panels. But I feel like I'm there for Nardio, for the interviewers, to spread word of this amazing cosplay culture. So, do I go try to cover panels, or do I just stay and interview as many people as I can? And I chose the latter. I don't regret that. Well, I kind of regret that because I missed some cool panels. But thankfully, I didn't have to like hunt too hard for people to interview. There were just like there's quality. Can't speak. Sorry. There was quality cosplay all over the place. There was not quality cosplay all over the place. There were just people who were having a great time, and I was able to talk to a bunch of them. And yeah, it all worked out pretty well. The only problem I had was the camera I had to use was my Canon, which is really meant for photography to do the interviews, because it was so loud there I couldn't use my camcorder because my camcorder doesn't have a mic input, so it just dies in any place where there is just too much background noise, and the con was loud. Super loud. Because it was so tight, it was super loud. And at first it was annoying, but honest to God, something about it later on just made me feel really good, because I felt like that was the energy of the con. There was excited conversations here, excited conversations there. And I would find myself getting annoyed whenever I would walk by some people like going, oh, this is lame. Like, psh, you're not even trying, man. There's so much stuff to do here. Just go walk into this place or go do that. I mean, could have it been a better per se con, a bigger per se con? Yeah, but this is like, the event space they had and they worked with, and I think they did as good as a job as they could have done. The fact that everything was so packed was good. It meant that the place was so fun, so busy, that people didn't want to leave. The fact that the anime room where they were screening animes was packed almost all the time was great, because it meant that they picked good anime that people wanted to watch. It meant that people wanted to hang out together and share their love of the shows together. So, good, bad, how do you want to look at it? I'm taking this weekend as a huge victory for Liberty City. And I'm really excited that next year they're going to have a much bigger space. I wish I wish the space they were doing next year kind of was a little brighter, but I feel like they might have a better flow of light from the video they showed on Facebook of how the space is going to be. So I'm super excited to cover it next year. I mean, I really hope they do even better. One thing that happened this time that kind of was a disappointment was out of their hands. I think the hotel told them at the very last minute, you cannot have anything go past midnight as far as events go. And a lot of some really, fun, ecchi stuff or like adult-oriented things were running really late, so they had to pull them back. And I kind of feel like that kneecapped the con a little bit. And I feel like this limit on to what they can do also hurts the con, because you can't really have, like, per se, let's say Katsucon has events that run throughout the night, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. They're like there's like, hey, let's watch this anime at 2 a.m. Let's all hang out and talk about hentai at 3 a.m. Let's talk about yaoi at like 2 a.m. And so I kind of feel like that hurt like the con, but again, it's not their fault. They can't really fight against the hotel hosting them. Hopefully next year they can do more, and with more things to like make people want to stay longer. I mean, I live in Manhattan, so I could just take the subway home and be home ASAP. But a lot of people, I feel like, come in and feel like the meat and potatoes of the con is during the day. I feel like there should be something at night to reward people who stay in the hotel, who live in the area, who are willing to just, all right, red eye, cappuccino, let's just all night this with these people, sort of thing. So hopefully they do better. Let's see. Any last thoughts of things? Sometimes I worry I need to ask new questions. So I've been trying to make the conversations flow, and I'll take little tidbits here and there and expand upon it if possible. But the weirdest thing for me is I still don't have people who are signing up to have their photos taken or have be interviewed. So because they're not signing up, I feel bad about taking their time. So I try to keep the interviews as condensed as possible. Try to be concise and try not to like blather on or go on side topics or bring things up, because they're not here for me. They're not here for you. They're here for themselves, and they're here to have fun with the community. So it's always weird when I interview someone, because I at one, I'm thankful that they're taking their time that they paid for to share with us, in this interview. But at the same time, I feel kind of bad because I am taking them away from what they would rather be doing. Every once in a while, I come across some people who are like really enthusiastic about, yeah, I want to be interviewed. I want to share my story. Or sometimes there's some people who are just like camera whores, like, yeah, I'm here. Take pictures of me. And sometimes there's some people who are so forward that way. I'm just like, no, you seem a little cray-cray. But, that's really not the majority. That's really a small minority. Sometimes I have people who are very, 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 very pushy about getting their shots and video taken, and to the point I'm kind of worried, are they stable? Because weird. But at cons you get all sorts of weird people, so it works out. So as far as asking new questions goes, I don't know. I brought gaming into it a little more. I started this time like asking some questions like, what did you game? If the conversation was appropriate, or if the cosplay was appropriate. Sometimes I asked a little more, what was a very good personal experience with an anime with you, like what really resonated with you with one particular show you watched and why. I found like I had some good conversation come out of that. I don't know. I think once we get big enough where we start having people like make appointments with us for photos and interviews, then maybe we can really have good half-hour interviews. And hopefully we can have some really good interviews. I think we've had some before with Nardio, where it's just like they started talking about their personal stories, they started sharing some embarrassing things, some happy things, some touching things, and I love that. I love that so much, and I want to keep doing that. I want to keep getting those stories. And sometimes it doesn't always have to be like a heartwarming story. It doesn't always have to be like a inspiring story. But I kind of want them to be, because I kind of want to bring some value to my viewers. So I'm hoping for that. I'm aiming for that. I really, really, really want to start doing better with the interviews. I don't want people to go through the interviews we have at Nardio like, oh, it's the same thing with the same questions. I want them to be like, I'm sorry, she's still like drooling here. I want them to be like, wow, this is a really good one. No, you got to go back to that one, because that one has the time they shared that story and it was really touching. And have people like really keeping up. I mean, we're getting more and more subscribers, but I want people to really be excited when there's a new Nardio video about cosplay stuff. I mean, in general, I like that with all our interviews, like anime with game dev and whomever else we get. But if we're exploring the community of cosplay, I feel like there's like a million great stories to tell, and I want to record those. So overall, would I go to the con again? Hell yes. Do I have any regrets over it? No, not really. It only made me more excited for being a part of the culture. One interesting tidbit was on Saturday, I dressed up as Riker from Star Trek, and that was an amazing experience because it was my first cosplay. And it's weird because I didn't consider it cosplay. I'm like, I will just put on my Riker costume. It's really a Picard costume, but I took off a pip to be a proper, commander, and kept my head all there, and I had a full-on beard goatee going on, and it was cool because for the first time I was getting stopped by people like, oh my god, I'm a huge Trekkie, can I have a photo, do this, and I'm like, I'm just here to record things, but okay. And it's like, oh my god, it's gonna make my husband's day, have a picture with you. I'm like, your husband's gonna be happy you're taking a picture with a handsome man? Well, okay. And it was really sweet. Even when I took a break to get some food, on Saturday, I walked over to the Dwayne Reed to grab a bite to eat, and the managers they're like, "Oh my God, that's so awesome! Does your little Star Trek, does your symbol make the little sound you touch?" I'm like, "No, I wish it did. I would be so happy if it made the little sound, but no, it does not." But I was getting people geeking out over my costume around New York, and now she runs away. Sleeve full of drool. She runs away now. So it was a really interesting experience being the person who was making other people's day. I understand the appeal now, and I can find myself very addicted to that. I mean, I was fantasizing about cosplay before, and now having done it for a day, oh yeah. I was watching people on the stage when they were doing their cosplay contests, like, I want to do that. I want to get on stage and have people cheer for me. That's kind of awesome. Ooh, I can make that sort of costume. I'm handy enough. I wonder if I can win awards. Ooh, how cool would it be if I became a well-known cosplayer and interviewed them too? That would help Nardio, and it would be really fun and cool too. Ooh, I was getting excited. I was really getting excited about all the possibilities. So it was just like, ooh. Now the next thing's getting in some really good shape so I could pull out the costumes I want to do, because a lot of the ones I'd like require me to be a very fit and sexy man. So, workout motivation, yeah. So, yeah, I just, smile on my face. I had a smile on my face the entire time. And right when I thought I was getting too tired to be someplace, I just like, rest for a second, and then lo and behold, there's that guy just as spark dapping, getting people excited. There's a guy with the clarinet, getting everyone in a good mood, and it's like, all right, let's keep this going. So yeah, let's show you how good it was. Friday, I was good. Remember to get some food and drink plenty of water. Saturday, I was so busy interviewing people back to back, I forgot to eat. Like, I totally forgot to eat. It wasn't until like 5 or 6 o'clock. I think I had to rush in, so I skipped breakfast. It wasn't until 5 or 6 o'clock. I'm like, oh my God. I've interviewed people from back to back. I was busy interviewing so many people. I've missed the panels I wanted to do, but I just kept running into people. And like, I should eat something. But then there was like the cosplay competition, so like I did that. And after that, I went out and got some food, and that's where that little Dwayne Reed story came in. But that's how much fun I was having. I forgot to eat. And I never forget to, well, okay, I forget sometimes. But it's rare I forget to eat unless I'm really into something. And thankfully they had plenty of water around, so I didn't like go without water. But yeah, I was having that much of a time. Same with Sunday. I had a few snacks this time, so I was able to sneak a few. But like I had to all right, this time I need to go and get food. I had alarms go off just so I could do it, because without that alarm, I totally would have forgotten. So just great event, wholeheartedly recommend it, and I hope you all enjoy the videos I'm posting about it. They're even coming up soon. Right now, I have to edit a whole bunch of them to make them work right, and I apologize for the grain. I'm working to try to get a 4K camera that has really good lighting, like a really good low light. So I think the one we want is the Sony AX100. It's like, I think 4K would be a good recording format because it would allow us to crop and zoom where we want, so we can just take the shots we need. But if we need to zoom in, we can. We get stills from it, so it would help with the pictures. So we can get knock out 2 birds at once. And those cameras are really good for con lighting or lower lighting, so when we go to events and stuff. So that's what we're gonna work toward. So hopefully soon-ish, we can afford to get that camera that we want, so working toward it. And it was a little noisy in there, and I really can't do too much about that, even with the mic. I was surprised how noisy some of them came out with the mic in the interview. The place was just that loud. A weird thing that I'm a little nervous about was sometimes it was so loud. I was interviewing a few people at a time, and I can hear what the third and fourth person were saying. So my big concern is some people might have been saying stupid things, or what if they were saying just phoning it out. I don't know. I'm still going through the video, and I'm really worried about some of those other interviews because sometimes they're saying stuff, and I'm just like, I have no idea what you're saying. And thankfully, that didn't happen too often. It was with like the bigger group ones. So I'm saving those for last because I'm very worried. Let's see what happens. I mean, I doubt anyone would really be a jerk and like do that, but you never know. Let's see. Thank you so much for watching, sitting through this crazy rant, and watching me get drooled on by my kitty. Thanks for sticking by us, and I hope you enjoy the coverage we're bringing to you. Have a great day.